Mommy, I got a message from Ronke. You remember my classmate who lives in Lagos now? She said there is an opening as a sales assistant at a boutique in Lagos Island. She can get me an interview. I am thinking of going. Her heart thudded as she said it. Grandma was silent for a long moment. Only the soft swish of her knife on the yam skin between them. At last, the old woman spoke quietly in Yoruba. Taye, you are my eyes. If you go to Lagos, who will stay here with this old woman? A heavy rain pounded the rusted rooftops of Ibadan on the night the twin girls were born. In a crowded maternity clinic, lit by a single bulb, their young mother labored in pain and hope. When the first baby's wail called through the humid air just past midnight, the nurses smiled. Taiwo had arrived, the child who tests the world first. Moments later, the second girl emerged quieter, as if reluctant. Kehinde, the one who comes after. For an instant, the exhausted mother held both infants at her breast, whispering prayers of thanks in Yoruba. But destiny had other plans. By dawn, only one tiny girl remained swaddled in her mother's arms. The other had vanished into the chaos of the night, carried away by forces beyond the mother's reach. Unknown to the sleeping city, two lives that began together were already set on a diverging paths. Yet, some bonds are not so easily broken. Yoruba elders often say, how destiny has written that our life will be, so shall it be. Though separated by circumstance, the twins' fates remained entwined. In the silent dawn, as the mother wept for her lost child, a warm breeze stirred the curtains, and an unseen presence seemed to hover, a promise whispered by the ancestors that what is separated by man's hands can be reunited by the hands of fate. 24 years later, a young woman named Taye Oladipo woke to the sound of roosters crowing and the muffled call to prayer from a distant mosque. Morning light spilled through the slats of wooden window onto the one-room apartment she shared with her grandmother. Taye stretched on her thin foam mattress, listening to grandma's soft humming of a Yoruba hymn as she lit the charcoal stove. It was a new day in Bodija, one of Ibadan's bustling neighborhoods, and the familiar aromas of cocoa, pap rice porridge, and frying akara wafted in from a nearby compound. Despite the modesty of her surroundings, Taye greeted the day with energy. She tied a threadbare Ankara scarf around her head, greeting her grandmother with a warm, "Ekaaro, Mami," "Good morning, Mommy," as she affectionately called her grandma. Grandma Ajoke, a petite woman with graying hair under her own head scarf, responded with a smile. "Ekaaro, did you sleep well, my dear?" she asked in Yoruba. "Yes, ma," Taye lied cheerfully, though in truth, her night had been restless. She had had that strange dream again, the one where she was speaking with someone who looked just like her, a faceless sister, blood around the edges. Waking up always left her with an ache she couldn't explain. Perhaps it was just loneliness. Being an only child could feel that way, yet she often felt as if a part of her was missing. It was an urge she tried to shake off as she helped Grandma dish out the hot cocoa into bowls. Their morning routine was simple. After a quick meal, Taye would escort Grandma to her kiosk by the roadside, where the older woman sold provisions, tins of pig milk, sugar, bread, matches to neighbors. Then Taye would head to Songo Market to buy fabric for her sewing business. At 24, she was an enterprising tailor, sewing Ankara dresses and school uniforms for clients around the neighborhood. Work was steady but barely lucrative. Many nights, she stitched by candlelight when NEPA took light. The city's frequent power outages. Still, she remained optimistic that better days would come. Grandma Ajoke often admired Taye's resilience. "Omo Dara, a good child," she would say, patting her granddaughter's shoulder. Taye had been raised with love, though they had little. Her mother, Grandma's only daughter, had died young when Taye was just a toddler. Of Taye's father, little was known. He had vanished before the twins were born, leaving the pregnant mother to fend for herself. Twins, yes, there had been two babies, though Taye grew up believing her twin sister died at birth. It was a secret, cloaked in sorrow. Grandma Ajoke rarely spoke of that night, and Taye had learned not to ask too much questions. All she had was a single crumbling photograph of her mother holding a newborn herself, and an empty space next to them where her twin might have been. Sometimes, when no one was around, Taye would trace that empty space and wonder. That morning, as Taye navigated the narrow alleys of Bodija with a basin balanced on her head, she greeted familiar faces. "How far, Taye?" called Shadi, her childhood friend, from her store where she sold tomatoes. "I dey oh, Shade. I just dey go market," Taye answered in a mix of English and pidgin, flashing a bright smile. They chatted briefly about an upcoming Owambe party in the neighborhood that weekend. Shade teased, "Better sew one correct style for yourself oh. Who knows, you might meet Prince Charming there." Taye laughed, adjusting the basin. "Me? I'm just going to enjoy jollof rice and dance, jare. No time for Prince matter." She waved and continued on. Despite her jokes, Taye did nurture private dreams. Not so much of Prince Charming, but of making it big as a fashion designer in Lagos or even abroad one day. She followed Instagram pages of Nigerian fashion houses religiously whenever she could afford mobile data. In her small notebook, she sketched dress ideas inspired by style she saw. Maybe someday, she thought, one of those dreams would come true. At the open-air Songo market in Ibadan, Taye haggled fiercely in Yoruba with fabric sellers. "Ha, sister me, this price is too much oh. Shey you won't kill me?" she exclaimed at a trader quoting an exorbitant price for lace material. The man laughed, enjoying the bargaining ritual, and soon enough Taye walked away with a bundle of colorful Ankara clothes at a reasonable price. The market was alive with typical Ibadan vibrancy. Traders calling out deals, bus conductors shouting "Oja, Oja," and the ever-present smell of fried plantain, mixing with exhaust from Okadas, motorbike taxis, weaving through. By noon, the sun was high and unforgiving. Taye ducked under an umbrella-shaded store to buy a cold pure water sachet. As she sipped and relaxed for a moment, her mind drifted again to the recurring dream. In the market's noisy throng, she almost thought she saw that familiar phantom, a glimpse of a young woman with her exact same slim build and amber eyes. Disappearing around a corner, Taye shook her head. "This heat is doing me one kind," she thought, attributing to the vision to exhaustion. She had plenty of real-world worries to focus on: an upcoming client fitting, Grandma's clinic bills for her arthritis, and perhaps most urgently, the plan she had been quietly nurturing, moving to Lagos. The Lagos idea had taken root when a former classmate offered to help Taye find a better paying job in the big city. Shade and Grandma were anxious about it. "Lagos is not being so," Shade warned. "Life in Eko is fast and rough, but opportunities dey there, sha." Grandma simply sighed, not wanting her only surviving granddaughter far away, but knowing there might be better fortune for her beyond Ibadan. Yoruba people say the city that refuses to train her child either cannot or chooses not to. Ibadan had given Taye a start, but perhaps Lagos would give her a future. That evening, Taye sat outside their home with Grandma Ajoke, peeling yams for dinner under a purple-orange sunset sky. She mustered the courage to speak her mind. "Mommy, I got a message from Ronke. You remember my classmate who lives in Lagos now? She said there is an opening as a sales assistant at a boutique in Lagos Island. She can get me an interview. I am thinking of going." Her heart thudded as she said it. Grandma was silent for a long moment, only the soft swish of her knife on the yam skin between them. At last, the old woman spoke quietly in Yoruba. "Taye, you are my eyes. If you go to Lagos, who will stay here with this old woman?" Taye's eyes filled. "Mommy, it's not like that. I will come home often and I will send money. I want to do more for you. Ibadan, the jobs here, they are not enough. In Lagos, I can earn money and maybe save to open a big shop of my own one day. This is for us, Mommy." She held Grandma's hand in hers. Ajoke studied her granddaughter's earnest face. In it, she saw the reflection of her late daughter's determination. Perhaps it was also fate moving. After all, this child was one of a pair, a twin, and twins in Yoruba belief carry strong destinies. She had never told Taye, but the night she lost the other baby, she had consulted a babalawo, a diviner. The babalawo had carved a small wooden figure to represent the deceased twin spirit, a tradition to honor a lost twin and protect the living one. For years, Grandma Ajoke had kept that figure wrapped in white clothes, offering prayers on the girl's birthday. The babalawo had told her something cryptic too. The child you think is lost is not gone. In her own time, she will find her way. Ajoke never fully understood if he meant in spirit or in life. Now, watching Taye yearned for something beyond her grasp. She wondered if sending Taye to Lagos might be the key to unlocking that prophecy. So, with a heavy but hopeful heart, Grandma Ajoke nodded. "You can go, my dear, but you must be very careful. Lagos is full of both good and bad people." Taye broke into a relieved grin. "Thank you, Mommy. I promise I'll be fine. God is with me." She embraced the old woman, who wiped away a tear and began to hum a prayerful tune, entrusting her granddaughter to destiny's care. That same night, some 130 kilometers south in Lagos, another young woman gazed out of a high-rise apartment window in Ikoyi. Ayomide Ajayi, or Ayo, as everyone called her, leaned on the balcony railing, letting the cool breeze ruffle her silk pajamas. The city's skyline twinkled with thousands of lights. From her vantage point, she could see the cars snacking along the Falamo Bridge and the distant neon sign of a new luxury hotel on Victoria Island. It was a view many would envy, yet Ayo's mind was elsewhere, lost in thoughts she rarely shared. Behind her, the spacious living room of her parents' apartment was plushly furnished. Leather sofas, glass center table, large flat screen TV playing a low-volume Nollywood drama. On the wall hung a framed photo of the Ajayi family, Ayo in a graduation gown between her beaming parents. Mr. Adewale Ajayi was a successful businessman, a chief with a shiny title and connections, while Mrs. Morayo Ajayi ran a thriving catering business. They were a respected Yoruba family, well-to-do and deeply rooted in Lagos high society. They had given their only daughter, Ayomide, every comfort in life: the best private schools, summer holidays in London, a brand new car for her 23rd birthday last year. Yet, more than once, Ayo had caught her mother looking at her with an inexplicable sadness, especially on her birthdays. It was as if her parents were keeping a secret locked behind their loving smiles. Tonight, Ayo felt that familiar restlessness. She tapped her phone and scrolled through Instagram aimlessly. Her feed was full of friends posting from a new lounge in Lekki, a cousin's engagement announcement, memes about Lagos traffic. She double-tapped a picture of her friend Fumi posing at a beach, then sighed. Fumi had invited her out tonight, but Ayo had declined. She didn't feel like mingling with the usual crowd, pretending to enjoy music and small talk. Lately, she had been feeling a strange sense of yearning was the only word, for what she couldn't quite pin down. A soft knock came on the door. "Come in," Ayo said, turning. Her mother peeked in. Morayo Ajayi was a graceful woman in her 50s, wearing a flowing Ankara kaftan. "My dear, you haven't gone to bed. It's past 11. "I know, Mom, just thinking," Ayo replied, mustering a smile. Morayo joined her on the balcony, looking concerned. "Thinking about what, You have been so quiet these days. Are you worried about your NYSC posting?" She referred to the National Youth Service Corps, a year of service every Nigerian graduate undertakes. Ayo had recently completed her master's degree in economics. Soon, she would be deployed to some state for her service year. "Maybe that's part of it," Ayo lied. "I just have a lot on my mind. I'm fine, really." They stood together, the silence between mother and daughter, filled by the distance of Lagos night life. Morayo suddenly reached out and brushed a strand of hair from Ayo's face. "You know you can talk to me, anything at all," she said softly. There was a quiver in her voice. Ayo looked at her mother's kind eyes. In that moment, she almost voiced the question that had haunted her for years. Why do I feel like something is missing in my life? Instead, she simply hugged her. "I know, Mom. Thank you. I'm okay, I promise. Maybe I just need to get busy. Sitting around here makes me overthink." Morayo smiled and patted her back. "All right. You'll be busy soon enough. And perhaps you even enjoy your NYSC. Who knows? Now try to sleep, Ayomide. Don't stay up too late." "I won't. Good night, Ma." After her mother left, Ayo remained on the balcony a while longer, letting her mind wander. This vague emptiness she felt. It was like reading a book with chapters missing. She had a good life, loving parents, yet she often felt alone in a crowd. Perhaps it was because she had no siblings. As a child, she had begged her parents for a baby brother or sister, not understanding why they exchanged pained glances at her request. Only later did she grasp that she was their miracle child after years of infertility, and no other children would come. She sometimes wished she had at least cousins close by, but most relatives were distant or abroad. So Ayo grew up mostly in the company of nannies, then school friends, learning to be self-sufficient, but secretly longing for a deeper connection. In her bedroom, she passed her dresser where several family photos stood. One was her as a baby being held by her mother on the naming ceremony day. In the photo, baby Ayomide was crying as the Yoruba custom of dripping honey and palm oil on her tongue was performed. The idea being she would speak sweet words and have a smooth life. Ayo often chuckled at her infant self's displeasure at that moment. But tonight, her eyes lingered on the photo. Something about it tugged at her infant's face. For a split second, she had the strangest thought that somewhere in the world, there might be another face that looked just like her. She shook her head. "You're watching too many movies," she muttered to herself, climbing into bed. The AC hummed quietly, and eventually, she drifted into a troubled sleep, where vague dreams swelled up running through a marketplace, chasing someone who looked exactly like her, always just out of reach. The next morning found Ayomide braving the infamous Lagos traffic. Though her parents had a driver, she often preferred to drive herself when the destination was close. It gave her a sense of normalcy and independence. Today, she was heading to the mainland to deliver some document for her father at a client office, an errand that doubled as a chance for her to get out of the house. In the car, she tuned the radio to Cool FM and bobbed her head as the Burna Boy song played. At a red light in Ikeja, hawkers swarmed. They slowed vehicles selling everything from plantain chips to car chargers. One persistent boy ran beside her window waving a pack of gums. "Auntie, buy something. Bless your gear," he pleaded. In a rehearsed chat, Ayomide smiled and handed him a 200 naira note through a crack in the window. "I don't need gum. Take this and be safe." "God bless you, Auntie," he beamed before darting off. As traffic inched forward, her phone buzzed via Bluetooth on the car's console. A call from her best friend Fumi. "Ayo, where you dey? I went to your house and they said you have been driving around Lagos today." Fumi's lively voice rang out. "I'm out to errand for my dad." Ayomide laughed. "This your detective skill, eh? Better come and meet me for lunch, oh. I'm at the Palm Small, VI. Let's catch up. There is gist." Ayo considered. She was halfway across town already. Might as well. "Okay, I'll come after I finish here. In about an hour." "Yes, I'll be waiting at Chicken Republic." "Safe journey, darling. No go carry last in that traffic." As the call ended, Ayo smiled to herself. Fumi always lifted her mood. Perhaps a lunch out was what she needed. By noon, she had completed her father's errand and headed back to Island. Lagos was broiling under the midday sun. Ayomide drove past the sprawling Teju Osho Market area and the National Stadium, joining the trunk to cross Eko Bridge. Vehicles honked and bus jostled. The usual hustle of last giddy life. At one bottleneck, she noticed a dusty interstate bus next to her car with Ibadan Lagos scrawled on its side. Passengers were visible through the open window, looking tired and sweaty. One young woman caught Ayo's eye. She was dozing, her head against the window bar, a loose head scarf half slipping off to reveal short cropped black hair. There was something oddly familiar about her face, even in repose. Ayo stared a moment longer. "She looks like..." The woman stared and opened her eyes, and for one heart-stopping second, their gazes met across the traffic lanes. Ayo's breath caught. Those eyes, that face, it was like looking into a mirror. A honk behind her jolted Ayo. The light had turned green. Startled, she moved forward, losing sight of the bus. Her heart stuttered wildly. What on earth just happened? She craned her neck, but the bus was now behind her, and there was no way to stop on the busy bridge. Calm down, Ayo," she told herself, palms sweaty on the steering wheel. "It's probably just someone who resembles me," she reasoned. After all, people say everyone has a doppelganger somewhere, yet she had never seen a resemblance this uncanny. Ayo glanced in her rearview mirror, half expecting to see the woman's face again, but only saw the chaotic flow of vehicles. By the time she reached the mall, she had almost convinced herself it was a trick of her mind, perhaps the glare of fatigue. Fumi was already at a table digging into fried rice and chicken. "Baby girl, you are looking flushed. Are you okay?" Fumi asked as Ayo sat down. "I'm alright, the heat I guess," Ayo replied, forcing a chuckle. She wasn't ready to explain the weird sighting. It sounded crazy even to her. Instead, she left Fumi chatter on about the latest gossip, who was getting married, whose business was booming. They ate, laughed, and for a while, Ayo relaxed. The incident on the bridge receded to the back of her mind as an odd curiosity. After lunch, the friends strolled through the mall. At a boutique window display of matching asoebi, uniform party outfits, Fumi suddenly nudged Ayo. "Ah, See that babe in the red top? She looks just like you from the back. Same height and everything. Fumi pointed towards a young woman browsing shoes across the hall. Ayo's stomach tightened. The girl in red had short natural hair like hers and was about the same build. Could it be the same person from earlier? Impossible. That bus passenger would only just be arriving at wherever. Lagos is full of lookalikes. She tried to assure herself, but Fumi was already keen. Let's go and surprise her. I want to see her face. Before Ayo could protest, Fumi had grabbed her hand and marched over. Hello there. Fumi greeted the girl boldly. Sorry, but my friend here looks exactly like you. We had to say hi. The startled shopper turned around. Ayo's word tilted. It was her. The same young woman from the bus. Now just a few feet apart. The two women stared at each other, eyes wide. It was like looking into a living mirror. Both had the same oval face, the same warm brown complexion, the same nose shape, even a small beauty mark below the left eye. The only noticeable difference was that the stranger had a tiny scar on her forehead, just at the hairline, while Ayo did not. For a moment, none of them spoke. Fumi looked from one to the other, realizing the gravity of the resemblance. Jesu, you two are like photocopy, she blurted in astonishment. The young woman in red found her voice first. Hello, she said softly, her eyes filling with tears even as a nervous smile formed. Please, what is your name? Ayomide. People call me Ayo. Ayo managed to say. Her heart was hammering. She felt a lump in her throat, for reasons she couldn't articulate. The other girl let out a trembling breath. Ayomide, she repeated, as if testing the feel of it. I'm Taiwo, but people call me Tai. Taiwo, Ayomide whispered. Hearing that name sent a shiver through her. Taiwo, the name traditionally given to the firstborn twin in Yoruba culture. And here she was, staring at a woman who looked just like her, named Taiwo. Her mind raced. Could it be? No, it was too incredible. Yet, the facts were lining up like pieces of a puzzle snapping into place. The mall corridor seemed to fall away as the two women moved closer instinctively. Where are you from? Ayo asked urgently. Ibadan. I just came to Lagos today. Tayo's voice caught as she studied Ayo's face. You look so much like me. This cannot be just coincidence. Fumi was gasping, one hand over her mouth. Shoppers flowed around the trio, a few casting curious glances at the two identical girls standing frozen in shock. Ayomide's hands were trembling. She reached out as if to touch Tayo's arm to confirm she was real. My parents told me I was their only child, she said, voice unsteady. But my mother had difficulty during childbirth. I don't know much. What about you? Do you know anything? Tears slipped down Tayo's cheeks. My mother died when I was little. But my grandma, she told me I had a twin sister who died at birth. She gave a little laugh that turned into a sob. Obviously, that was not true. At this, Ayomide felt a sudden surge of emotion, her vision blurred. They told you your twin died. They never told me I even had a twin, she whispered. It felt surreal to say the word twin, but looking at Tai, she knew it was true in her bones. Identical twins. An extraordinary rare occurrence for some, but not so rare among the Yoruba. In fact, Yoruba people have one of the highest twin birth rates in the world, and twins are often seen as special blessings, believed to be bestowed joy and prosperity on their family. Yet here they were, a pair of those very blessings, kept apart all their lives. Fumi finally snapped out of her astonished silence. This is a lot, oh. Maybe we should sit down somewhere private. She gently took both by the elbow and guided them into the shoe shop's quiet sitting area. The shop attendant looked puzzled but allowed them space upon Fumi's request for just a moment, please. Seated side by side, Ayo and Taye continued to look at each other as if afraid the other might disappear. Taye took a shaky breath and gave a small smile. You are really here? I'm Kehinde's sister. She corrected herself. No, I guess you are Kehinde. Ayo's eyes widened. Kehinde. She knew the name. The traditional second twin name. Her parents hadn't named her that, likely to avoid obvious questions. But the realization that she was born Kehinde sent a chill through her. Kehinde, the one who comes after in Yoruba myth. Kehinde is considered the elder twin spiritually, the one who sent Taiwo out first. A strange sense of deja vu washed over Ayomide. She recalled how her mother always said Ayo was an old soul, careful and reflective, while she had had tales of Taiwo children being adventurous. Looking at Taiwo with her determined posture and the faint scar suggesting some childhood mischief, Ayo couldn't help but smile tearfully. It seems I am Kehinde and you are Taiwo. We truly are twins. They clasped each other's hands, then a mirror image gesture, and that touch seemed to break the dam. Both of them burst into tears, holding each other in a tight embrace right there in the store. Fumi sniffled, wiping her own eyes. Shoppers passing by might have assumed it was a dramatic reunion of old friends. Little did they know, it was something far more extraordinary. When the initial rush of emotion subsided, the twins pulled apart, laughing shakily through tears. Look at us, crying like big babies, Taye said, wiping her face with a handkerchief. Ayo chuckled, dabbing at her eyes. I have never cried in public like this, but it's a miracle. She reached up and touched the scar on Taye's forehead gently. How did you get this? Taye smiled. I fell from a mango tree when I was 7, stubborn me. Grandma said I was lucky I didn't break my head. Ayo's jaw dropped. She brushed aside her own hair at the same spot. There was a very dark mark she had never understood. Since she had no memory of a bad fall, perhaps as babies or toddlers, they both had a small injury there and only Taye's scar remained prominent. The tiny detail cemented what they already knew. Fumi clasped her hands. This is like those Nollywood films, but real. Twins separated at birth, finding each other by coincidence. Ah, God is wonderful. She suddenly stood. We need to inform your families. No, this kind of thing. Ha! The mention of family brought the twins back to practical matters. An awkward silence fell as they realized the revelation that had opened their world would do the same to their loved ones, and that there were painful secrets to confront. I have to call my grandma, Taye said quietly. She's the one who raised me. She always believed. I think she suspected something. I need to speak to my parents, Ayomide murmured, her stomach fluttering at the thought of the conversation to come. Would her parents admit the truth? Why had they hidden it? Questions swarmed her mind. Exchanging phone numbers was the next step. They decided to meet later that evening at Ayo's home, where they could have privacy and bring the family into the discussion. Fumi offered to drive Taye to her own place first, so she could freshen up. Taye was staying with her friend Ronke in Lagos, but that friend was at work till evening. Taye agreed, on the condition that Ayo not disappear. I won't, Ayo assured, squeezing her hand. We have found each other. I'm not letting go. As they parted ways, the two kept stealing glances over their shoulders, smiling. It was as if a gravitational field held them near. A force, long dormant, now awakened. The mall's air felt charged with meaning. Shoppers continued their day, oblivious that two sisters, who entered strangers, had left as family. That evening, the Ajayi household was anything but calm. Ayomide had texted her parents in their family group chat earlier. I have something very important to tell you tonight. Please be home. She deliberately left details out, not wanting to do this over the phone or raise alarm that might cause her parents to panic or evade. Both parents replied quickly that they would be home for her. They sensed the seriousness, perhaps fearing some problem. Little did they expect the nature of the revelation. Ayo paced the living room anxiously, glancing at the clock. 6:45 p.m. She had invited Taye and Grandma Ajoke to arrive at 7. After leaving the mall, Ayo had immediately driven to Ronke's flat in Ikeja. where Taye was temporarily lodging, to pick up both Taye and her grandmother, whom Ronke had fetched from Ibadan by afternoon upon hearing the news. The three had spent a short couple of hours at that flat, comparing life stories and marveling at fate. When Grandma Ajoke first saw Ayomide step out of her car, she gasped and began to praise God loudly in Yoruba, holding both girls' hands and praying fervently. "The Almighty has performed a wonder," she exclaimed. She confessed through tears that in her heart she had always felt Kehinde lived, but never dared hope she would see this day. She even produced the carefully wrapped Ere Ibeji twin figurine she had kept for over 2 decades. At the sight of the carved wooden doll, Ayo's eyes widened. It was a small figure of a girl child, adorned with cowrie shells. Grandma explained its significance with a trembling voice. "When they told us you were gone, I had this made to keep your spirit close. I talked to it, fed it, and prayed with it every year on your birthday. I never let Taye forget that she once had a twin, even if we thought you were only with us in spirit." Ayo was deeply moved. The thought of this loving grandmother caring for a symbolic figure of her all these years, while her own adoptive parents never told her of Grandma's existence, stirred complicated emotions. Mr. and Mrs. Ajayi had a lot of explaining to do. Grandma Ajoke urged the girls to be patient and hear the full story from the Ajayi side too. Whatever happened then, it was God's design that you both survived and are now reunited, she said. Let anger cool in your heart. We must seek understanding and maybe forgiveness. Now, back at the Ajayi residence, Ayo had the front door open. Her parents stepped in and immediately saw her agitated state. "Ayo, what is wrong?" her father asked, removing his suit jacket. Her mother hovered, worry etched on her face. "Are you all right there? You scared me with that message." Ayo took a deep breath. "Mommy, Daddy, please sit. What I have to say is, it's shocking, but you need to know I'm not upset with you. Well, I am upset, but more than that, I need the truth." Her words tumbled out, making little sense yet. Before she could continue, another knock came at the door. Mr. Ajayi looked confused. Who could that be? They rarely had unannounced evening guests. Ayo's heart pounded. "I invited some people. Please, just keep an open mind." She went to the door and opened it. There stood Taiwo and Grandma Ajoke. Mr. and Mrs. Ajayi both stood up instinctively upon seeing the visitors. Morayo Ajayi's eyes went straight to Taye's face, and she staggered backward, as though seeing a ghost. "Am I seeing a spirit?" she gasped in Yoruba, clutching her chest. Adewale Ajayi's mouth fell open as he looked from Taye to Ayo, confusion and dawning recognition battling on his face. "What? Who?" he stammered. Ayo gently led the 2 guests inside. "Daddy, Mom, this is Taiwo Oladipo and her grandmother, Madam Ajoke Oladipo. Taiwo she's my twin sister." Saying it out loud in front of everyone felt momentous. Ayo's voice shook. "My twin that I never knew I had." Chief Ajayi sank slowly into the sofa, hands on his head. Morayo remained standing, trembling. Her eyes welled with tears as she looked at Taye, who was equally emotional. The silence was thick, punctuated by the faint sound of the wall clock ticking and the whoosh of the air conditioner. Finally, Grandma Ajoke spoke up in a gentle but clear tone. "Ekule," she greeted them respectfully. Her Yoruba accent marked with both politeness and a hint of steel. "Good evening. I know this is a shock. My name is Ajoke Oladipo. I am Taiwo's grandmother. And I suppose in a way, Ayomide as well." Morayo broke into sobs at that, stepping forward to grasp Grandma's hands. "Mommy, forgive us," she cried. She then turned to Taye, reaching out hesitantly as if unsure she had the right. "Taiwo, oh Lord, you are alive." Taye nodded, tears streaming, but she held herself with admirable calm. "I am, madam," she addressed Morayo and Adewale, voice wavering only slightly. I understand you are the ones who raised Ayomide, my sister. I don't know the full story yet. We came to hear it from you. Please, we all need to know the truth of what happened at our birth. Chief Adewale wiped his face, looking 10 years older suddenly. In a low, broken voice, he began to speak. It was 24 years ago. My wife and I had been married for a long time without children. It was a painful time for us. We tried everything. Then, by what we thought was a miracle, a relative who worked at a small clinic in Ibadan called us. She said a young unmarried woman had died shortly after giving birth to a baby girl. The child had no father to claim her and no one to care for her. As the mother's only relative, an aging mother, was already burdened. Our relative, she arranged for us to adopt the baby quietly, unofficially. Morayo interjected through her tears. They told us the baby's twin had been stillborn. We never saw the mother. She was critical and passed away the same day. We only saw a tiny, beautiful baby. Our answered prayer. We named her Ayomide because she brought joy to our lives. She gazed at Ayomide with infinite sadness. That baby was you, my dear. Ayo felt a strange mix of sorrow and relief. Sorrow that her birth mother died without seeing her grow up. Relief that at least her adoptive parents hadn't outright stolen her maliciously. They were told her birth family couldn't care for her. But her gaze shifted to Grandma Ajoke, who stood stiffly, lips pressed together as she absorbed the story. Grandma, is that true? Did my mother die that day? Ayomide asked softly. Grandma Ajoke shook her head, slowly, eyes shining. No, Omotayo. That's your birth mother's name. She did not die in childbirth. She lived for about 2 more years. She was very ill after the birth, yes, but I never gave up either of the babies. Her voice hardened slightly as she looked at the Ajayis. My daughter had twins. We were poor, yes, but I would never split them if I had a choice. When she was weak after delivery, a certain nurse told us one baby was very sick and needed a special care. They took that baby, Kehinde, away. We were later told she died. We mourned her deeply. Ajoke closed her eyes. Pain etched on her face. I carved an Ibeji statue because I believed my Kehinde had gone to be with the ancestors. My daughter was heartbroken. She never fully recovered. She passed 2 years later from a fever. But I know heartbreak was part of it. A sob caught in her throat. Taye held her arm in comfort. The room was thick with emotion. Ayomide moved to Grandma and gently hugged her. Her own tears fell anew, hearing of her birth mother's suffering. Taye quietly cried too, reliving the story she had only heard in bits as a child. Mr. Ajayi looked devastated. We did not know, he whispered. The relative nurse Abeni lied to us, it seems. She told us the mother was gone and the remaining family could not care for the surviving baby. We thought we were giving an orphan a loving home. He turned to Grandma, voice hoarse. Madam Ajoke, by all that is holy, we did not mean to steal your blood. We are desperate and believed what we were told. Morayo nodded fervently. It's true. I swear on my life. We didn't know Taiwo existed or that Omotayo was alive after. If we had known, oh God. She broke down again. Ayomide moved to console her adoptive mother, patting her back. Grandma Ajoke's stern expression softened as she saw their genuine anguish. She let out a long sigh. It seems we are all victims of someone's deceit and maybe greed. Perhaps that nurse took advantage of our situations. The past cannot be changed now. She looked at the twins, a watery smile appearing. What matters is that the Almighty has brought these girls back together. Twins are a special blessing, after all, believed to bring joy and abundance to their family. I think joy will indeed come from this reunion if we handle it with love. Taye went to Morayo and quietly introduced herself more formally. Ma, I am Taiwo, your daughter's twin. I grew up with Mama Ajoke in Ibadan. I help run a tailoring business and I'm very grateful that you raised my sister with love. She bowed her head respectfully, addressing them as she would. Sir and Ma, despite the turmoil, her innate Yoruba upbringing shone in her courtesy. Morayo embraced her suddenly. Taiwo, oh my daughter, I'm so sorry you grew up without us. Can you ever forgive us? We would have taken you too if we had known, or at least stayed in your life. This was wrong. Taye hugged her back gently. There is nothing to forgive, ma. You didn't know. We are all misled. Her eyes then found Ajayi's, who approached and also embraced her, overcome. Ayomide joined, and soon all four, the twins and the adoptive parents, were in a tight circle of hugging and crying. Grandma Ajoke looked on with a relieved smile, murmuring prayers of gratitude. It was a cathartic moment, years of separation melting away in tears and embraces. After everyone calmed, they settled in the living room for a proper conversation. The Ajayis insisted on hearing every detail of Taye's life, and Taye likewise wanted to know about Ayo's upbringing. They marveled at how both girls turned out so alike in many ways. Both loved jollof rice with dodo, fried plantain. Both hated horror films. Both even had the habit of sleeping talking in bits of Yoruba and English mixed, to the amusement of their roommates or family. These little coincidences elicited laughter and exclamations of incredible. There were also poignant contrasts. Ayomide's life of privilege versus Taiwo's life of modest struggles. At one point, Mr. Ajay shook his head sadly. It pains me that while one of my daughters was under my roof enjoying comfort, the other was out there working so hard just to survive. But Taye squeezed his hand. Sir, she said, trying out word hesitantly to address him. He smiled and nodded at her use of it. She continued, Sir, don't blame yourself. My life made me who I am. Grandma took very good care of me and raised me well. I have no regrets. We are here now together. That's what matters. We can't carry guilt for what we didn't know. Ayo chimed in softly. Yes, although I will admit I feel guilty too. I had everything while you had so little. It doesn't seem fair. She looked at her twin earnestly. Taye shook her head, offering a reassuring smile. It's not your fault either, and I didn't have so little. I had love, education to some extent, and wonderful people around me. Maybe not riches, but enough to get by. She grinned, adding lightly, plus now that we have found each other, you can spoil me small, right? I won't mind some big Lagos enjoyment. They all laughed, the mood lightening appreciably. By all means, yes, Morayo said, wiping her eyes and smiling. From now on, you have two mothers and one father ready to dote on you, Taiwo. And grandmother too, Ayo added, smiling at Grandma Ajoke. Grandma, I hope you consider this your home as well. Thank you for taking care of my sister, and I hope you'll be part of our lives too. Grandma Ajoke, who had been quietly fingering her prayer beads, looked pleasantly surprised at the warm welcome. She nodded gratefully. Thank you, my children. You people are so good. This is indeed a blessed family. Blood is thick and does not turn to water. No matter what, family is family. She looked at both twins, pride shining in her eyes. Now, I have lived to see both of you together. I can die a happy woman when my time comes, but not anytime soon. By God's grace, everyone chuckled. As the night deepened, discussions turned to practical matters. Taye was supposed to start her boutique job trial soon, and she had nowhere permanent to stay yet in Lagos. The Ajayis insisted she move into their home immediately. They had a spare bedroom, indeed an entire guest suite, that had been rarely used. Taye accepted shyly, on condition that Grandma could also stay for a while. Of course, Mama would stay as long as she likes, Morayo declared, already mentally preparing how to rearrange the house to accommodate their new family members. Watching her parents and Grandma chat away about logistics, Ayomide felt her heart brim with contentment. She slid next to Taye on the sofa, leaning shoulder to shoulder. Taye tilted her head to rest against Ayo's for a moment. No words were needed. Their bond was already speaking volumes. Ayo realized that hollow feeling she had had all her life was gone. It was filled by the presence of her twin. At one point, Grandma Ajoke asked if they had done any formal confirmation of their twinship, like a DNA test. Chief Ajayi laughed. Mama, look at them. Do we need a DNA test? They are copy and paste. But for formality sake, yes, we can do one. Morayo added, I already know in my soul they are twin sisters. God's work needs no proof, but yes, medically, we will confirm. She reached over to touch both girls' cheeks. I'm just thinking of how to explain this to our extended family and friends. Double the daughters overnight. Tell them it's the will of God and a long story, Ayomide joked. Will be like a sensation. Yoruba movies will want to copy our story. For me, who had been invited as well and sat sipping a drink, piped up, honestly, they should pay you too for rights to this story. It's more interesting than any script. Everyone laughed. Grandma Ajoke grew thoughtful and addressed the twins. Daughters, in our Yoruba tradition, when twin siblings reunite or when they reach a milestone, it's customary to celebrate and give thanks. We must have a little thanksgiving, whether in church or even at home, to mark this reunion. Twins are sacred and deserve honor. Her voice was gentle but firm. Yes, so Morayo agreed. We'll plan a proper celebration, maybe a Thanksgiving service at church this Sunday, and after that, a family lunch. What do you think? Taye smiled broadly. She was deeply touched. She had never imagined a life where she would be enfolded into such a loving family beyond her grandma. I would love that, she said, though perhaps we should also do something small traditionally. In Ibadan, people might drum and sing for twins. She looked at her grandma, who nodded. Ayo clasped her hands softly. Why not both? Saturday we can do a small Yoruba traditional blessing ceremony, and Sunday church Thanksgiving, best of both worlds. Chief Ajayi chuckled. These children want us to throw two parties, Abi? No problem at all. We have a lot to be thankful for. Though it was settled, the next few days were a flurry of happy activity. News of the twins' reunion spread among close relatives and friends in a controlled way. Reactions ranged from astonishment to, I always had a feeling Ayomide looked like someone else. Neighbors wondered at the sudden appearance of a look-alike daughter at the Ajayi residence, and the friendly ones were given a brief tale of lost family found again. Early Saturday morning, the Ajayi household bustled with preparations in the courtyard. Under a hired canopy, a small gathering took place. Grandma Ajoke had insisted on consulting a local babalawo she knew true relatives in Lagos to perform brief traditional blessing for the twins. The twins sat side by side on a wooden bench, dressed in matching Iro and Boba outfits, sewn from the same Yoruba fabric, courtesy of Taye's sewing skills and Ayo's funding. They were a vision in royal blue Ankara with embroidered patterns. Curious neighbors and friends peeked in from the side as the elderly babalawo, clad in a white flowing agbada and beaded cap, conducted prayers in Yoruba. He offered kola nuts and gin to the ancestors, calling on the spirit of Ibeji, the sacred twins, to bless the sisters' union. The man gently touched the twins' foreheads with a feather dipped in chalk and drew the sign of a twin on the ground. He chanted ancient incantations that even Grandma mounted along to. Though Ayomide had been raised Christian and found the ritual foreign, she felt a warm reassurance from honoring this part of her heritage. Taiwo, having seen such ceremonies in her childhood, was more familiar and closed her eyes in reverence. When the babalawo proclaimed in a loud voice, "The blood of the twins has rejoined," a cheer went up from the family present. Neighbors clapped. The man then advised the family to feed the less fortunate as a form of thanksgiving, a common tradition for twin blessings. Immediately, Morayo signaled to the cooks she had hired, and they began serving packets of food and drinks to the area children and anyone who stopped by. It became a mini party. Yoruba talking drums suddenly started up. Someone had brought drummers, as is common once any celebration is in swing, and women from community began dancing and singing praises for the twins. Oh, twin, divine twins of the source. The twins were playfully pushed to dance as well, to the delight of all. Ayo blushed but followed Taye's lead in moving to the rhythm. Both had the same little awkward dance step, which caused laughter and more cheers. Grandma Ajoke was in the thick of it. Joyfully, at one point, she held both girls' hands and declared in Yoruba, "When destiny chooses something, no one can undo it." She looked at them proudly. "Fate chose to reunite you. my dears, and here you are. Indeed, fate had woven an incredible path from Ibadan's dusty streets to Lagos' bustling malls, through dreams and coincidences, finally binding the twins together again. On Sunday, the celebration continued in a church service at the Ajayi's family church. Dressed in elegant lace ashoke with identical gele head wraps, Taye and Ayo went up to the altar with their parents and grandma for a special Thanksgiving. The pastor, informed in advance, shared a short version of their miraculous story to gasps and hallelujahs from the congregation, and led a prayer of thanksgiving over the family. The church band joyfully played the Yoruba reading, roughly, "The year is ending," a common Thanksgiving song. Even though it wasn't year end, the mood fit. The twins danced with their parents in front of the whole church as members came to spray them with naira notes in celebration, a typically Nigerian way to show love at joyous occasion. The sisters couldn't stop smiling. Ayomide at one point whispered to Taiwo, "Is this really happening?" Taiwo squeezed her hand in reply. It was like a dream, but it was undeniably real. After church, the Ajayis hosted a lunch at home. Jollof rice, pounded yam with egusi soup, fried plantains, and moi moi were served abundantly. Friends and family mingled. Some of the Ajayi relatives from out of town had come to meet the new daughter. They embraced Taye wholeheartedly, marveling at the twist of fate. Even Fumi's parents came by, joking that they gained another daughter too, since Ayo and Fumi were like sisters already. Ronke, the friend who helped Taye originally come to Lagos, was also invited. She was overjoyed that her friend's life had changed so wonderfully and promised to keep being her Lagos big sis, to show her the ropes of city life. In a quieter moment during the party, the twins snuck away to Ayo's bedroom. They sat on the bed, kicking off their heels. "Oof, I'm tired," in a good way, Taye laughed, rubbing her stocking feet. "All these people fussing over us, I'm not used to it." Ayo nodded, loosening her gele. "Me neither, ironically. I mean, I get attention as the only child, but this is something else. It feels good though. I feel whole." She looked at Taye, eyes shining. "Having you here by my side, I still pinch myself." Taye reached over and indeed pinched Ayo's arm lightly. "Oh," Ayo protested, and they both giggled. "See? You are awake, it's real." They grew reflective, sitting shoulder to shoulder against the headboard. The late afternoon sun slanted through the curtains, casting a gentle glow. "What are you thinking about?" Ayo asked softly, noticing Taye's faraway smile. "I was thinking about Mama, our mother, Omotayo," Taye said. "I barely remember her, but I have this fuzzy memory of her singing to me. I wonder what she would say now, seeing us grown and together." Her voice quivered slightly. Ayo put an arm around her twin. "I'm sure she is watching and smiling. If there is any justice in this world, her spirit will be at peace seeing us reunited and loved." They sat in silence a moment, contemplating the intangible connections between past and present. Ayo then hopped up and fetched something from her dresser. It was the framed baby photo of her naming ceremony. She handed it to Taye. "This is me and Mom at my naming." Taye studied the photo, tears gathering. The mother in the photo was young, with kind eyes and a tired smile, holding baby Ayo. "She's beautiful," Taye whispered. "You look like her a bit." "Really? I always thought I favored that side." "Maybe. The eyes. Yes." Taye dug into her handbag and produced a much worn small photo as well. "I have one photo of her too. This was later, when I was about 1. She was thinner by then, but still smiling." The twins compared the images of their mother, cherishing the only glimpse they had of her. "We must find a way to honor her," Ayo said quietly. "Maybe visit her grave in Ibadan soon, both of us." "Yes, let's. And we will bring her favorite things." Grandma said she loved puff puff and music. They squeezed each other's hands, making silent promises to the memory of their mother. Then, to lighten the mood, Ayo pointed at 2 babies in the photos. "You know, if we put those side by side, it's like you and me as babies. We looked exactly alike, I bet." Taye grinned. Double trouble from day one. She glanced at Ayo's bookshelf, where a few childhood dolls still sat. One doll was a twin of another in a matching dress. She walked over and picked them up. "Look." Even your dolls are twins. You have been subconsciously searching for me, eh? Ayo laughed. Perhaps I never realized. Those were a birthday gift years ago. She joined Tai, and together they positioned the two dolls next to each other on the shelf properly. At that moment, Fumi peeked in. Aha! Hiding here? Come, it's photo time. Everyone is waiting for the star twins. She waved a phone. The sister rolled their eyes affectionately and followed her back to the party. There, they posed for countless pictures. With the whole family, with grandma, with friends making peace signs and bunny ears. Laughter was constant. In one photo, the twins stood back to back, arms folded in identical poses, doing their best imitation of serious Nollywood twin characters before cracking up. In another, they hugged each other, cheek to cheek, both beaming. Ayo knew that beyond the smiles, life would eventually return to normal rhythms. Taye would start her job soon and adjust to city life. Ayo would likely get her NYC posting. She secretly hoped it would be in Lagos or nearby so they wouldn't be apart again so soon. There would be challenges, explaining to more people, dealing with any issues around identity documents or the family adoption records, etc. But she must not be afraid. Whatever came, they would face it together. As evening approached and guests departed, the twins found a quiet moment on the front porch, watching the sun set over the city skyline. The sky was a wash of orange and pink. Lagos was winding down in its usual noisy way, distant horns, children playing, a generator humming to life down the street as NEPA caught power. It was chaotic, but it was life. And now, it was their life intertwined. Taye sighed contentedly. This city is crazy, but I think I'm going to like it here. She looked at Ayo, nudging her playfully. Maybe I'll even turn you to a proper street food lover. You haven't lived until you have had roasted corn by the roadside or amala at a buka in Obalande. Ayo laughed. Deal. If you promise to let me pamper you at least once a month with a spa or fancy restaurant outing. You haven't lived until you have had high tea at the Eco Hotel. She teased back in a posh tone. Ajibot alive. Taye shot back, using the slang for pampered child, and they both cracked up. A comfortable silence fell. Then Ayo softly said, Tayo and Kehinde, together at last. She liked the sound of it, though I have been Ayomide all my life. I think hearing you call me Kehinde feels special. It's like reclaiming a part of me. Taye nodded. Kehinde. She pronounced it with fondness, then switched to Yoruba. Twins. She took Ayo's hand and squeezed it. We are twins, and nothing can separate us again. Ayo felt a surge of warmth. She remembered something Grandma had told them earlier, that in Yoruba belief, twins share one soul and are protected by Shango, the deity of thunder. Looking at her sister now, she believed it. Despite different upbringings, they indeed shared an inexplicable bond, as if each had always carried a piece of the other's soul, and now, finally, those pieces were one. Above them, the first stars blinked into the twilight sky. Taye leaned her head on Ayo's shoulder, and Ayo wrapped an arm around her. In that simple, quiet moment, they felt the profound peace of belonging. Life would go on with its unpredictability. There would be quarrel perhaps, and laughter and growth. But they would face it side by side. The Yoruba proverb echoed in their hearts. Destiny had decreed this union, and so it came to be. Fate, with all its winding paths and extraordinary coincidences, had guided them home to each other, and together, the separated twins, now reunited, looked forward to the journey ahead. Two halves made whole, two voices in harmony, two destinies intertwined as one. The story of the separated twins teaches us that no matter how far fate scatter people, destiny has a way of bringing them back together. It reminds us of the invisible thread that binds family, even when time, class, and circumstances try to break it. The story shows that love, identity, and truth cannot stay buried forever, and that sometimes the answers we seek are hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. It also encourages us to never give up on finding where we truly belong. Thank you so much for watching this amazing story about Tai and Kehinde on African Stories by V. If you liked it and felt inspired with their journey, please show your support by clicking the like button, sharing with your friends, and leaving a comment below. To see more interesting stories and learn about different cultures, subscribe to African Stories by V, and do not forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to you. Until we meet again, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep smiling.